Hi, and welcome to a special edition of Rowlett on the Water on the Move. I'm Todd Gattell.
And I'm Brian Funderburk.
This show can be seen on Rowlett's own television network, RTN16. You can also find us on the YouTube channel at Rowlett Texas Video, and of course our website in streaming video at rowlett.com. Again, this is a special edition, and we're here to talk about the tornado that impacted our city on December 26 at 7 p.m.
That's
Brian,
right.
welcome.
Welcome, Mayor. This has been a tremendous disaster for all of us to have to deal with, and our hearts go out to those that were impacted by the tornado. About 1,100 houses overall, Mayor, and we've got almost 400 that will probably be torn down. It's a terrible thing.
Brian, the numbers are just staggering. We have been through such a tremendous amount over the past week. We have made some amazing progress, and we're really here to kind of talk about a lot of what's going on in the city. People have a lot of questions in terms of what's going on, and first and foremost, want to really thank our city staff for all the hard work and effort. We could not have done this without them and all the other cities, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. As you mentioned, we have over 1,100 homes that are damaged in some way. Over 400 of those will have to be torn down completely, and some are completely flattened. And just the devastation to be out there is just unbelievable.
It is, Mayor. And you know, we've been working around the clock with mutual aid, as you mentioned, Mayor, from many other cities. We have something around 47 different entities that have come to our help and come to our aid. It has been absolutely remarkable, the amount of help and assistance that we've gotten in just a short period of time.
Well, and what really amazes me when we talk about, the work, what have they been doing? Well, really cleaning up debris. And to date, we've collected over 65,000 cubic yards of debris, which is just, it's like a small mountain when I drive by. And that is really just, frankly, a small piece of what we currently have. And there's much, much more to be picked up.
There is, Mayor, and even in the short period of time, we've been able to get through our cities at least twice. There are some areas that we've done more than that, but it's going to take a while to get it all up. We're telling people it could take as long as 10 weeks, but we are working very hard to get as much of it done as we can.
Well, we are definitely in the recovery phase at this point. I want to, again, go back to just some basic recap of a few things. I was amazed that after the tornado hit the city and we realized the amount of devastation that was there, just being flooded with the number of 911 calls, our emergency responders did an outstanding job. We were overwhelmed with the amount of calls that came in, and there were a lot of injuries. It was just overwhelming. But the community support in this, and we'll talk about that later, has just been absolutely positively amazing. And of course, we're really, as we mentioned, Brian, we're in the recovery phase at this point, and we're being very cautious with the decisions because we want to ensure the best interests of the community are considered. And so we're not stuck with this huge trash bill when entities like FEMA and other organizations may help offset some of those costs.
Well, and that's
the
exactly
challenge.
Correct. Yes, Mayor. The disaster-related costs, including debris removal, could be eligible for FEMA reimbursement if we receive that major disaster declaration by the federal government. FEMA has been on the ground several times. They're doing their assessment. There is a process they have to go through. It's a regulatory process that they must follow. They can't just sit there and come in and point and say, yep, looks like it, and go with it. They don't do that.
Well, and one of the big stories that's kind of hit the news across the board, which, even throughout all this devastation, which gotten a tremendous amount of media attention, probably more media attention than anything else, is the Martha Water Tower. This is something that we are concerned about. There are some issues potentially with the structural integrity of the tower itself, and we're in the process of I guess, deciding what do we do or can we fix it. Maybe you can provide us an update there.
Sure, Mayor. Within the first day or so after the tornado, we noticed that obviously Martha Lane's water tower had been hit and struck. There was some damage in it that concerned our inspectors. As a safety measure, they recommended draining the tank, which we did. So we drained that. Based on our assessment, the initial assessments, we thought we were going to be okay, and we were going to look at stabilizing it, and then we would be able to take our time to decide whether we ought to repair it or replace it based on what the best cost estimates of that time were. But since that time, with the winds that we've had, there's been additional damage that continues to show up on the tower, and at this point, we're very concerned. We're not concerned necessarily that could just fall over immediately, but we are concerned that it is still a hazard. And so as a result, we need to get by the next couple of days where this new storm event's coming through. And then after that, I think we can kind of close the gap a little bit, allow people to get in and get their possessions in that area. And then and while we decide what we're going to ultimately end up doing.
Well, and again, it's not that we don't want them in the area. This is really a safety issue that we need to make sure that we're comfortable with allowing people to come in, that nothing is going to happen.
That's correct, Mayor. And this is a metal tower. I mean, so if it collapsed, it will hit. The debris will spread very quickly. We don't want anybody within that 250 foot radius right now.
Absolutely. And so, I know we're in the process of doing that. We estimate probably another couple weeks at this point as we go through that process, and then hopefully we'll be able to bring some closure, whether we're going to replace it or repair it.
That's right, Mayor.
That's great. Well, let's talk about the Joint Management Center that's there. And it's my understanding that they have opened, but they will cease operations on January 10th around 3 p.m. And we want you to know that just because they're closing, the resources are still available.
Yes.
The help is currently here. It's scattered throughout the city. And a lot of the area churches, like First Baptist Church in Rowlett, as an example, they have Texas Baptist Men's. They have folks like Samaritan's Purse are there, Victim Relief, and Red Cross is over at Church in the City. So they've kind of stepped out from that center into the neighborhoods at this point. So when that center closes, there's still going to be some opportunities. Salvation Army has done the same thing. So if you or anyone in your family needs assistance with debris cleanup or any help at all, I mean, we need to understand. We need to hear from you. We need to understand what you're looking for. And I would strongly suggest, in many cases, stop by one of the area churches and tell them what you're looking for, because many of these organizations have kind of camped out there. Yeah. And as an example, we had one gentleman that had some major tree damage in his yard and wasn't sure exactly what they were going to do, simply because of it's not just cutting down a tree. It's just this whole yard was littered with huge limbs, and they were able to go out and clean up the entire yard for him free of charge. And so that's a big deal, especially cutting that up into smaller pieces of lumber that are or smaller pieces of wood that are more manageable. Well, Brian, let's talk a little bit about FEMA, because that's kind of the $1 million question at this point that I've heard from a lot of people. Where is FEMA?
Mayor, this is a tough question because, again, there is a process that they have to go through. And they have had, at different times, different teams on the ground doing the assessment, doing some additional detailed assessment. But the bottom line is, if you're a homeowner or a tenant of an affected property, please take a quick moment to fill out the FEMA form on Rowlett.com. One of the things that we're trying to do is help FEMA get that assessment done so that the earlier they can go ahead and make the declaration of a federal disaster. We're compiling this information to assist them in doing that. And the information will only be used by our city's emergency disaster response team. It won't be shared with any outside organizations.
Well, and of course we realize that this is a very difficult time for our entire community, and we appreciate your participation. You can find the form again on Rowlett.com, which is our website. And speaking of our website, you can visit Rowlett.com for tornado information and other links that are there. It's a good repository to go find information that you're looking for about different organizations that may be able to help and assist you.
And Mayor, one point I do want to make, we've had a lot of people applaud the city for how much information we've put out on social media, but it is a lot. And so, even if you've just gone a couple of days, you've already missed some critical things. So if you go to our website where we have the web page on the tornado, that stuff doesn't move. So that information is still there in a more static location, and you can scan through there and find the information you need.
Howdy, this is Chris Paul, Public Information Officer of the Rowlett Community Emergency Response Team. On December 26th, Rowlett CERT was activated on a pre-alert status, and we and the Rowlett Amateur Radio Emergency Service brought up our weather net on VHF and UHF radio. Once the impact to our community was known, at approximately 7:10 p.m., Rowlett CERT was activated and responded with over 50 trained responders in less than an hour of the devastation. Working under the direction of the Rowlett Emergency Operations Center, we began search and rescue, damage assessment, and rehab services for other first responders. When we requested help overnight from regional CERT groups, we had over 280 trained responders from 22 area CERT groups respond by Sunday morning. Not long after I'd moved to Rowlett from Dallas, I began looking for volunteer opportunities that would make a tangible difference in the lives of Rowlett residents as well as my own family. I found that opportunity in the Rowlett Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT. Over 10 years ago, the Rowlett Citizens Corps Council recognized the need for a trained volunteer force to assist our local first responders in the event of a local disaster. This was the beginning of what is now a 100-member strong, nationally recognized CERT program right here in Rowlett. The CERT program offers an excellent way for citizens to help their families as well as the community prepare for, mitigate, and respond to natural and man-made disasters. The CERT program educates citizens about disaster preparedness for hazards that may impact their area and trains them in basic disaster response skills such as fire safety, light search and rescue, team organization, and disaster medical operations. Using the training learned in the classroom and during exercises, CERT members can assist others in their neighborhood or workplace following an event when professional responders are not immediately available to help. We maintain our readiness and keep our skills sharp through regular full-scale exercises and drills, and there are roles suitable for everybody, no matter your abilities or experience or physical capabilities. Rowlett CERT's next 2-day initial training class is February 6th and the 13th. For more information, go to rowlettcert.com and click on CERT Class Registration. Make emergency preparedness for your family and service to your community a reality. We look forward to seeing you as part of the Rowlett CERT team. This is Chris Paul of Rowlett CERT, and I'll see you again next month.
Welcome back. And at this point, Mayor, we want to kind of talk about the storm debris and give some specific information to our residents on removing the storm material.
And I think that's an important part of it as well, Brian, because people are looking, what do I do with the debris that's here? And we have basically a short list of do's and don'ts that hopefully will help not just with you, but with any volunteers that also show up on your property.
Well, and Mayor, one thing I want the public to understand, there's a reason we have some of the do's and don'ts, and primarily it is there are certain things that the Hinton landfill, they won't take. And household hazardous materials is one, for example. So we'll go down through the list and just help make sure everybody understands exactly what we're asking of them. And we're trying to protect the infrastructure we still have. So we're asking, particularly don't, block, alleys and driveways and fire hydrants and those kind of things. So first off, we are asking people to place the debris behind the curb, not out in the street. Don't block the travel lanes or the drainage ditches, driveways, alleys. We still need access, not only for the city to get in there and clean up, but also for public safety purposes too, because there's been some roads that have been so blocked at times by cars and people that if we had an emergency, it would have been very difficult to get down there to begin with.
Well, and again, hats off to staff and all the agencies that have come in, but they work very hard to clear these streets. And the reason we did that is so we can allow people to get into the neighborhoods. And the last thing we need is more stuff in the streets to block that, so we're not able to access them. It's also important, Brian, that we make sure that we keep disaster-related debris separate from regular household garbage. It's very, very important because the landfill will not take some of those materials. And where practical, we need to place the clean vegetative debris and recycle items in separate piles.
Well, and Mayor, I'm glad you brought up the recyclable items, because right now in the actual affected areas, we have the poly carts. There's a green one and one with a yellow top. And the one with the yellow top is for recyclable items. But right now, you can put anything in any one that they'll take. So that way it gives you two. For those of our folks that have them, Waste Management, of course, is ordering more, and they're going to be bringing those in for those that are missing them. But they can use both of them at this time.
That's great news. And then I think the big point that we really want to try to make is with the number of volunteers that are out in the field helping, there are thousands of them that want to go out and help. And we just need to make sure that they follow the rules and guidelines as well. Because it's one thing just to drag it to the curb in some cases or put it in one big pile, but if you have a chance to sort some of that out, it's important that they do that. And again, not blocking the streets or alleys or those other areas, because it's going to cause us to create a lot more work.
Well, and the other thing too, Mayor, and God bless all those volunteers helping and stuff, but in some cases we saw piles as much as 10 to 12 feet high, some even kind of leaning over the street. So, it is a safety issue as well. Kind of just some of the do nots. I mean, overall, the hazardous materials. Now, Dallas County actually has a location for this kind of stuff on Plano Road. The city of Rowlett is a member of that. We pay annual dues to that particular program. So our residents are able to bring household hazardous materials there. And we're talking things like paint, petroleum products, oil, those kinds of things like that, particularly things that are flammable, dangerous, chemical pesticides, those kinds of things. So if you have those in your home, we need those to be brought to Plano Road, and we have the address on there behind us. But one way or another, that's what we've got to be concerned about. We do not want to mix it in with the vegetative debris. We don't want to mix it in with some of the other materials like garbage. It needs to be sorted separately.
Well, and the other point is, many of you have actually paid contractors to help with the removal of some of this debris, and I would, we do not want them just moving it from one spot to another and putting it into our public right of way, because that is not the answer. We've worked really hard to keep these clean. It's not fair to the other neighbors and contractors and all those folks that have to get into that neighborhood as well. And of course, do not place the debris in your driveways or alleys. That's also important, because they are access points that that we need to be able to get into those homes.
And then, of course, the insurance, in some cases are covering some of the costs of removal of the debris. We're just asking all of that not to be put in the public right away. And really important, don't commingle household garbage with disaster-related debris. If the garbage is bagged up, if it's in the actual bins, it's going to get picked up separate from some of the disaster stuff. We have a lot of trucks out there right now. We still have the mutual aid cities that are on the ground helping us do this. And so we want to make sure that we have complete access, but we're not commingling the items. And one of just last thing too, don't place debris near obstacles such as gas meters, water meters, fire hydrants, or mailboxes. One of the things, Mayor, we use heavy equipment to remove some of this stuff. We have a lot of the cities that are helping us have those grappling hooks that reach over and grab and put it in there. And so when they're grabbing, if all that debris is around a gas meter or a fire hydrant or something, it'd be really easy to pull that up as well.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that doesn't happen.
Now, Brian, we've also gotten a lot of calls from people that say, my home was not impacted. I've got relatively a small pile of debris. It was really just stuff that was thrown around the yard that came from all over. What do I do with that? And we talk about a landfill pass.
Well, Mayor, we give 2 landfill passes to our residents every year anyway. This allows them to go to the Hinton landfill without charge twice in a calendar year. What we've been doing since this event, we've had a lot of people just say, look, I've got a truck, I want to fill it up, I want to get my yard cleaned up, I don't want to wait, and so we're giving those people passes and letting them get out there. We've had several locations where we're handing them out. Rowlett City Hall, for example, you can come there. The community center, Rowlett Community Center on Main Street. First Christian Church, which is on the corner of Miller and Cheesa. And we're not really, normally we make you prove that you're a resident, you have a utility bill and all that. We're not going there. If they just any ID of some sort that says that, I'm a Rowlett resident, I lived in this location, we will give you some free passes and let you go to the landfill and get your yards and your areas cleaned up.
Right now, Brian, let's talk a little bit about just some of the amazing recovery efforts and the organizations that have assisted. I cannot get over, first and foremost, about the outreach in the community. Many people, I don't think, realize the size and scope of the tornado as it came through this community. And I know you have a map that's here.
I do,
and,
Mayor.
And I know Drew will put that up, but if you take a look at the path that this came through, it just, I mean, it caused significant damage. 1/2 mile wide, 4 miles in length. And when you look at the amount of devastation, we have hundreds of homes that are literally leveled. And there are hundreds more that are going to need to come down completely, just because they have major structural damage. And just because you weren't impacted in the center, there's damage to the outside of that as well. It could be roof damage, it could be tree damage. I mean, and in some cases, it's just pretty significant. We also had a lot of businesses damaged. Between 30 to 40 businesses were impacted in some way as well. And just really, but I will tell you, the outpouring of love and affection in this community is something that I don't think I've ever seen in my entire life. The tornado, it didn't pick race, it didn't pick religion, it didn't pick your socioeconomic background. It impacted everybody, and we as a community, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of your socioeconomic background, we have come together as one in this community.
Our churches, the way they've pulled together, all the nonprofit agencies that have come in. We've already mentioned the mutual aid for the city of Rowlett and how many agencies,
Absolutely.
nearly 50, have come in with either police help or fire help or public safety, grapple hooks and dump trucks. So everybody has just absolutely poured in volunteers, donations, even to the point where some of the churches just don't have any more room for donations. And so, we're trying to manage that, because what we don't want to do is have those resources go somewhere else. And so we're now going to open up another spot just for the overflow of the donations. This is a great problem to have.
Absolutely.
You got to manage it, but it is a wonderful problem to have, and everybody is giving their very best. It's exceptional.
When we think about the outpouring of love in the city, first thing I want to say, about a half hour to 45 minutes after all this occurred, Chick-fil-A shows up at the Emergency Operations Center with sandwiches and said, "We need to make sure you guys are fed." They actually, this is unprecedented, they stayed open on that Sunday to make sure that people had a place that they could go for cover to charge their phones. And I mean, it is just unbelievable. And I just, Chick-fil-A, Home Depot, Hubbard's, McAllister's. I know I'm going to forget some here, so I need some help. But I mean, literally, people just completely showed up with just food. What can they do? And not just to feed our police and fire. This is to feed the community. We had Operation Barbecue Relief that came in within probably hours of when this thing happened, with these big trucks, these big smokers, and we've got some pictures we'll show of that. But Brian, in that 7-day period, they cooked 32,000 meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. They were open 24 hours a day. You could go there at whatever hour. If you were hungry, you got fed. They didn't ask what neighborhood you're from. They didn't care if you were a survivor or if you were a worker. They were there to feed the masses, and they did a fantastic job. And frankly, if you couldn't get there, they had the ATVs, and they ran out and they delivered those meals. And and that's just one of many organizations. We've had Home Depot, as you see, have put up banners in the store, and some of our friends at Spirit Outfitters have created these buttons that I know that you have yours on as well. It says "Rebuild Rowlett." And it's just, amazing. This is just, and part of the money from this actually goes to help the tornado victims. It actually goes to sponsor the folks over at Life Message. In addition to that, I want, Walmart, before I forget, a couple tractor trailer loads of product that they delivered as well. I know we're forgetting a lot here because so many have contributed. And they actually, the folks, and our friends, our Spirit Outfitters, also created this really cool sweatshirt, Rebuild Rowlett. So if you look at that, it's in the front talks about Rowlett, and on the back are the sponsors. These are just some of the sponsors that helped out. These are just a few, but it really talks about our community in general and all that they have done to support our community. And these can actually be purchased. by going to Spirit Outfitters. They are right next to Nick's off of Lakeview Parkway there. It's in the Aldi Shopping Center. And these run, we have t-shirts from $20, and these run $40 and $50, or up to $50 depending on the type of shirt. So some are hoodies, some are not, but if you stop by, you can definitely get your size, and they will make these for you. We are actually auctioning off a couple of these white ones. They are normally not making these in white. But to try to raise some extra money to help some of the storm victims, I have personally actually printed several of these, and we are and then have signed a couple, and they're putting them up for auction. And right now, I want to say someone had bid $200 for one of them, and so that money will go directly to End Life Message to help with their relief efforts. Because as you're aware, they don't wait for a specific tragedy to happen; they actually feed people all year long. And we've sent a lot of people over there for specific food items as well, and clothing items, and to help that out. So again, I cannot say enough about this community. I know I'm missing some folks in our thanks, but organization after organization after organization, they have stepped up and said, what do we need to do to help the folks of the city of Rowlett? Now, one of the other areas that have also been impacted is our animal shelter. And they have been inundated with animals, and there are so many of our furry friends, our pets, that have been displaced from the storm. In many cases, you had cats that may have gotten out of the house, or dogs that were trapped that have gotten out and just ran away because, frankly, they were scared. And first off, I want to take our hats off to our friends of Rowlett Animal Shelter. They have done a tremendous job. They're one of the many volunteer organizations that are going out helping to find a lot of these lost animals. And doing things like even just setting some traps, because specifically they told me to say, hey, you know what, cats come out at night. So what we do is we set these traps to help, because we can't just walk up to them, because that friendly little cat that we had before is scared right now, very, very scared. So we're able to bring them in, we capture them, we bring them in, we do a wellness check, we see if they're chipped, and then we call the owner back. And it gives them a chance to kind of calm down and cool off a little bit, because they're in a safe, warm environment.
Well, and Mayor, we actually, one of the good problems we have with this is that we received so many donations of food, pet food and supplies, that even our animal shelter couldn't handle all of it. So we've actually offered, for some folks that have been displaced, we've offered some of that food, kitty litter, things like that, for people to be able to take. But we have right now, as of last night, 59 animals that we believe, or storm animals. In other words, they have been displaced from their homes. They have not yet been connected with their family. And so, if you're missing your pet, please check the animal shelter, because it just might be there. And we want to make sure that they find their homes again.
Well, and we have, I want to say, probably 70 plus animals right now at the shelter that really belong to someone at this point, and we're not sure. Many of them didn't have collars. We've tried to go through, and some had been microchipped. We try to contact the owners, but in some cases the owners aren't there because there's no telephone, there's no electric, because the house is gone. So if you have a friend that has been displaced, and you're able to get a hold of them, and they're looking for their animal, have them check the Rowlett Animal Shelter. There's also Premier Vet Clinic in Rowlett that's also storing some of them as well temporarily, or housing them as well. And again, we ask that you please come check out the shelters. These are your pets. These are your part of your family, and we want to make sure that they get returned properly. And
our phone number at the animal shelter is 972-412-6219. That's 972-412-6219.
So, Brian, and just really in closing, again, our heartfelt prayers go out to every single person that has been impacted in one way or another through the storm. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the volunteers for all the help and support that you've given to this community. Thank you to all the businesses for the outpouring of love. And again, places like Home Depot, they just rock. They've been through this. They have stepped up financially. They have stepped up with people, and they've stepped up with support that I didn't think really ever existed in this community. And it really talks about what great organizations we have, with a number of folks like McAllister's and Walmart and others. Milestone Electric was an example of one. Called us and said, what can I do? Let me get some electricians out there. Don't know what we can do, but let's have them on standby in case somebody needs help. This is at 1 o'clock in the morning. Just absolutely amazing. It really says a lot about the community that we live. And really a special thanks to our elected officials. Hats off to Cindy Burkett, our state representative. She's done a fantastic job. We've gotten calls from Angie Button's office as well, willing to help, but people have come out to the community. Cindy's been here on a regular basis, working, not because she wanted a photo op, just rolling up her sleeves. Felt so bad she stepped on a nail when she was here helping to clean up debris. But we took care of her. She's in good shape. But I want to thank our Congressman Pete Sessions, Congressman John Ratcliffe were here as well. We got calls from Sam Johnson's offering help and support in any way. Our Senator Ted Cruz came into town as well. He was here. And again, this was not about the photo op. It was really about making sure that they understood what needs that we had as a community so they can help at the state level and federal level. Our Attorney General, Ken Paxton, was here as well, wanted to make sure our contractors were, on that they knew that the Attorney General's office was watching to make sure that they didn't defraud customers. And again, just to help from all over. We had our county judges, Clay Jenkins and David Sweet. Thank you for all your help as well. I mean, it's just been an outpouring of just love and affection from all over. And many of these folks have been out in the community helping dig through piles. This was not about a photo op. They wanted to learn a little bit more about exactly what happened to this community, and more importantly, be able to go back and find what resources at the state and federal level that they can help with.
Well, and Mayor, one thing I want to do too is recognize that our mayor and our city council has been extraordinary. While the city itself has been focused on, either the search and rescue or now the recovery effort and trying to clean up, the connections that our council and you have made out in the field, getting people connected to resources, getting the resources there to help people, answering questions, making sure that rumors are dispelled, accurate information out there. Honestly, Mayor, I don't know how we could have done it without the council. Our focus would have had to been very different than what we did. And you guys have been able to get out there in the field, talk to people, bring back those needs, and we've been able to help connect folks with those resources.
Well,
so
and Brian,
it's been an extraordinary effort all the way. And then one last thing, Mayor, I really want to take the moment to brag on staff too. Our staff has done an exceptional job. I'm so proud of this team. They have stepped up. Everybody is giving their very best.
Absolutely.
And it has been just an absolute extraordinary event with everybody involved. I tell you what, I don't know how it could have gone better as bad as it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm impressed. I mean, I will tell you the amount of folks that have worked 24/7 through this thing, including yourself, has just done an outstanding job. Your entire organization, we could not be more pleased with. Everybody in the city is just singing the praises of, I can't believe how great this city is and how well they have responded. Again, just a special thanks to all of your staff. I mean, they have just gone around the clock, have done a marvelous job. Police, fire, public works, parks, everybody has pitched in. It's not, well, this isn't a park, so I'm not going to do that. No, they jumped in and did whatever they had to do to be able to do that, and it has certainly made a big difference. Also, again, just want to take an opportunity to thank my fellow council members. It really has been a team effort. And it's important because we want to hear from you. If you've got a question, you can visit our website at rowlett.com. You can call our Action Center, our Citizen Action Center at 972-412-6100. You can stop in person at City Hall. Or actually, you know what? You can go to our Facebook pages. Mm-hmm. Mine, I'm at capacity on my Todd Gautell page, but if you go to Todd Gautell-Mayor Rowlett, you can like that page. I post the same information on there. And I've tried to provide as many updates as possible on there as it relates to the storm and other information. We had people say, I really appreciate your upcoming, or we had provided the forecast for upcoming weather. And they said, we really paid attention to that because we saw that. We knew you were caring about our city. And moments after it happened, you guys were out there posting and getting information out. Because one of the interesting things is when your power's out, in many cases, this is the only source of connectivity that you have, providing that the cell tower is still intact. And they're looking for information. You can go to Channel 8 News, but they may have a 10-second blip on what's going on in Rowlett. Well, you want Rowlett information now, and you want 100% Rowlett information, and that's what we can provide by doing that. So check out our Facebook pages that are there, and again, visit us at City Hall, visit our website, or give us a call at the Action Center at 972-412-6100. Well, Brian, this has been a special program of Rowlett on the Water, on the Move. We are certainly praying for all of you in the community, And thanks to all the help and support, we ask that you continue with that. This is definitely a marathon. This is not a sprint as we get through this recovery. And we want you to know that our entire city staff and council is absolutely behind you and here for you to help you any way that we can. So stay strong, Rowlett. We will get through this together.